Hey guys, welcome to Knockers on the Bottom. I'm your host, Jay Mill. Jay Miller, if you like. Just want to get into some of the observations from Cowboys joint practice with the Rams today. So the first thing that caught my eye, a lot of mixing and matching with the first team offensive line. I saw Tyler Guyton get, pretty much the bulk of the reps at left tackle, but Bostic did get some reps as well as the first team left tackle. Cooper Beebe and Brock Hoffman were kind of switching also as the first team center. If you checked out my episode after the game, I got into a little bit of Cooper Beebe's performance, and I said it wouldn't surprise me if he started to get some first team reps here because of how well he played against the Rams in the first preseason game. Lo and behold, here we are. Cooper Beebe's getting some first team reps. Cowboys Nation can take a little bit of a breathe there because I know a lot of people have been like, why didn't you just throw him in right away? But the coaches want to see you earn it. The coaches want to see you get better. A lot of times football is all about competition, right? That's what brings out the best in all these guys. I know when I played and we were going up against a good team, I always wanted to play better, so I know a lot of these guys, when it's not given to them, they want to, get that chip on their shoulder and say, "Oh, okay, you don't want to put me in there as a starter. I'm going to show you why I should be a starter." So it's nice to see Cooper Beebe work his way into some starters reps. Now, with that being said, Cooper Beebe looked pretty good today. His snaps were good. His power was good. His get off was good. He had a couple of stunts that were thrown at him. He picked them up well. On the flip side, Tyler Guyton kind of had an up and down day, which is to be expected. I mean, he didn't practice much last week. He got thrown into the game. He played pretty well, actually, in the game. Considering that he didn't practice at all, like he didn't allow a pressure, he didn't allow a QB hit, nothing. But in this game, in this practice, I did see a couple of reps of him getting overextended. A lot of times with Tyler Guyton, because he's such a tall guy, he's 6'8", playing left tackle. Sometimes when the ball is snapped, he'll put his kind of like his head down, and his shoulders will get in front of his feet. And because he's so athletic, a lot of times he's able to recover and stay in front of the guy, push him past the quarterback, or get his hands on the inside and able to kind of just stonewall the guy and not let him get there. Today, I saw someone do a nice swim move on him when he got his head a little low, do a nice swim move on him, and get past him when he couldn't ride him quite past the quarterback. Of course, they don't let you take the quarterback to the ground because it's training camp, practice, but it would have been a sack or pretty damn close to a sack in the game. Maybe the quarterback would have got the ball out just as he got hit and it would have fell incomplete. But either way, it wouldn't have been good at all. Also noticed Terrence Steele getting handled by Jared Verse a little bit. Jared Verse rushing off the defense's left side, Terrence Steele's right side, and kind of worked him a bit. Jared Verse is a big, long, physical pass rusher. He is a rookie, so you would like to see Terrence Steele kind of take some of those, some of that knowledge that he has from being a vet and using that. But we all know Terrence Steele's always, or maybe we don't all know, but I'll say it like this. Terrence Steele's always had some trouble playing with a guy with power. So if the guy's super athletic is going to try to beat Terrence Steele with like footwork and things like that, that's when Terrence Steele is in his bag, because he's also athletic. That plays into his hand. But when a guy can just get into his chest and walk him back, and use that power to speed combo or power to shed, which is kind of what Jared Verse did. That's what gives Terrence Steele his most trouble. And so Jared Verse was giving Terrence Steele some trouble today. I also did see Trey Lance have a nice pass over the middle where he was decisive. He had a play fake up the middle to the running back, came off the play fake and kind of found the receiver, Tyron Billy Johnson, in the end zone for a touchdown in the red zone period. That looked pretty good. He had kind of an up and down day. He had a couple of nice completions, a couple of times where he's still doing what we seen in the game, where he's not quite as decisive. He kind of holds it a little bit. I also did notice when Brock Hoffman went back in as the starter, he did have a couple of times where he had some issues with the snap to Dak Prescott, and then that caused Dak Prescott and the running back to have some off timing when it came to the quarterback running back exchange, which caused the ball to be on the ground. So that's something to look out for. I don't know if that's just a disruption in the reps. When he's getting the first team reps all the time, maybe there's not so much disruption, but now him having to kind of swap in and out with Cooper Beebe, we're going to watch that a little bit, because if that competition becomes a competition and he has to continue to swap out and then all of a sudden his play takes a huge step back, I mean, that's going to give Cooper Beebe the leg up. And speaking of that, Shipley, who was the third center, I saw him take a couple of reps at guard today. This was that drill we talked about last week where it's the 5 down lineman, the 4 down defensive lineman, and then they blow the whistle, but only one lineman rushes. The other ones don't rush, and it's kind of a one-on-one drill, but it's a one-on-one drill from the standpoint of they're lined up the same way they would be lined up in the game. It's just, boom, these two go at it. And there were a couple of times where Shipley was getting just worked. So I know I told you guys a few weeks ago that I don't even think Shipley is going to be on the team. This is just starting to solidify it. As we get more and more into these practices, we're starting to get more of a feel of who's going to be where. So right now, Shipley's to me on the outside looking in. Doesn't mean that Shipley won't eventually be a good player or that he won't have a place on the practice squad. For those of you that are Shipley fans, it doesn't mean he's totally out. It just means right now, between the inside players of, you got Tyler Smith and Zach Martin, those are a given. You got Brock Hoffman and Cooper Beebe, that's a given. And then you have TJ Bass working in there as well. So that's a given. So you got 5 interior linemen. And out of those 5 interior linemen, Bass can play both guard spots. Beebe can play right guard and center. Brock Hoffman can play both guard spots and center. So you kind of got a couple of guys in there who have that position flex. Shipley, out of all the reps he has, I feel like he looks the best at center. And I don't think he looks that great at center, but he looks the best at center. But to me, that gives him kind of like a leg down on the competition because a lot of the other guys look okay, whether they're at center or whether they're at guard. The Cowboys seem to have an embarrassment of riches at the interior of their offensive line. What they're seeming to struggle with right now is on the outside. Now, that being said, in that same team drill, I did also notice Boswick having some really, really strong reps at guard as well. At tackle as well. Sorry, excuse me. So it looks like there's an open competition with Chuma Edoga going down. The Cowboys kind of want to see if they have something between Awesome Richards and between Tyler Guyton and between Bostic, because you figure Tyler Guyton's going to start, but the Cowboys do need to figure out, hey, is Willetsko our swing tackle? He looked okay today as well. Hey, is Bostic our swing tackle? Hey, is Awesome Richards our swing tackle? But Awesome Richards kind of looks better at guard. So just kind of looking at all those things, and they're trying to sort it out. I have a feeling we might see a veteran at that position once cut down day comes. Some of the other observations, Deuce Vaughn looked pretty good today. He had a couple of nice runs in there. There was a pass play where I believe it was Dak Prescott at quarterback in the red zone on the completion that he had to Brandon Cooks in the end zone. Deuce Vaughn took the fake, and he had to kind of step up in pass protection as things were getting muddy, and he put a nice shoulder into the oncoming defender and then went out into his route, and that allowed Dak Prescott enough time to get the ball out to Brandon Cooks for a touchdown. So I know Deuce is a little guy. I root for that guy. He's got some ball in him. He has some knockers on the bottom, but that guy seems to be picking it up a little bit, which is good to see considering he missed about a week and a half of practice and wasn't able to play in the Rams game. I'm excited to see what he does in the Raiders game, to see if he can kind of pick it up, and get himself a chance on this roster. The running back room is not all that great, so it would be nice to see someone, kind of take the reins. Right now, if I had to go into week 1 and I was a betting man, I would say Ezekiel Elliott's probably going to get the start. And I would say his backup primarily is going to be Rico Dowdle. And then I would say you would probably see some Hunter Lipke. And I think the 4th running back on this team is probably on another team. But if Deuce Vaughn can step up, and take this by the reins, maybe he forces the Cowboys to rethink some of those things, and maybe they, decide, hey, maybe Deuce can be our 4th running back. I also saw Kevontae Turpin. We all know what he can do in the return game. He had several nice grabs in the receiving game today. He had a nice run out of the backfield, so it does look like they're wanting to find some different ways to get Kevontae Turpin the ball in his hands in space, which I think, he's one of the few pure speed players on offense. The only ones I can think of are him and Brandon Cooks, but with Brandon Cooks being, a 30-plus age receiver, they probably don't want to, especially with CeeDee Lamb not being here. Not saying that means CeeDee Lamb isn't going to be here week one. He is. He's going to be here. He's going to be playing. He's going to be killing it. He's going to be amazing. But it looks like Kevontae Turpin is their gadget player. They're going to throw him some screens. They're going to hand him the ball off. They're going to have him on some end rounds. They're going to send him out on traditional wide receiver routes. He looks like that guy that's going to be kind of like the do-it-all type of player for them. And with his size, it actually, most of the time we see a guy that's very slight and very small, and we think maybe his size is going to be a detriment when it comes to the offensive game or when it comes to being a running back in the backfield on very specific plays. That seems to work to his advantage. He's tiny, he's fast, he gets lost within his offensive lineman, and then before you know it, boop, he's out in the open. And man, once he's out in the open, he's a hard guy to get down, not because of his power, but because of his elusiveness. So on the defensive side of things, got to see Trayvon Diggs take some reps today. That was very nice to see him out there. Nothing extravagant from Diggs, but it just was nice to see him get out there in team drills, backpedal, cover receiver, carry him up the field, break off on the route and see if he could, make a play on the ball on other routes. He just looked very, very natural, very smooth, exactly where you would expect him to be coming back from the type of injury that he had last year. Mozzie Smith had some good reps today. He also had some, I won't say bad reps, but just more a little bit lackadaisical. I don't know if there's certain plays where they're like, hey man, we are not really looking for the defensive line to really just like smash into the guys. So take it easy. Because some of the reps, it looked like he was kind of going 60 to 70% speed. And then other reps, it looked like, he was walking the guy back into the backfield. So Mozzie, to me, had an up and down day, but I can't 100% say because I don't know exactly what they're asking of him. Jordan Lewis was very active today. Saw a nice play where he carried Cooper Kupp across the field on a passing route. Would have been in perfect position to either bat the ball away or get a tackle. Of course, they're not really supposed to tackle. Some people are breaking these rules out here, though. I'll tell you that. I've seen some guys, and I'm talking about those Rams guys, taking Cowboys players to the ground or knocking them out of bounds. But we're not really supposed to be doing that here. We're supposed to be tapping up, and we're supposed to be in good position. Saw Jordan Lewis do that several times today, so he looked pretty good as well. So Cooper Rush looks like his normal self. Michael Parsons in the backfield on several plays. There were a few times where whoever it was, Jimmy Garoppolo or Stetson Bennett, I didn't see much of Matthew Stafford today, but those guys would have gotten sacked a few times by Michael Parsons if it was up to a real game situation and he was able to bust through there and do what he does. Maris Leofau found himself in good position on plenty of plays today, which was nice to see, especially considering during the preseason game. He wasn't in for long, but some of those plays he was definitely out of position. You could see him guessing, and a lot of the linebackers guessing, and I'm looking at you, Willie Harvey. But today wasn't as much guessing. There still was some, but there wasn't as much guessing. Looked a little better, looked a little cleaner. I didn't see DeMario Overshown, but I know he's been dealing with a hip pointer, so they probably held him out of practice on that today. But all in all, pretty good day here. A little sloppy with some of those handoff miscommunications. A little bit sloppy with some of the technique with the linemen, with letting some of these guys rush pretty, freely on Dak Prescott or Cooper Rush or Trey Lance or whoever was back there. So we're definitely getting into the dog days in training camp where some of these guys, their technique is starting to go by the wayside. They've been doing the same things every day. They've been running these drills constantly. It's not really bad heat-wise, but it just wears on you. This is that time of year where the coaching staff wants to lean on you and push you a little bit because as we get week to week in the regular season, not as much of that. They're more concerned with making sure things are clean and crisp. But that's all I got for you today. Thank you for joining me. If you like the video, hit the like button, subscribe so you get notifications when I'm coming on. If there's anything specific that you'd like me to cover, leave it in the comments below. But thank you for tuning in. You guys are the best. This is J Mill. J Miller if you like. Knockers on the bottom. Peace.